of major market moves. Call the Patriot Trading Group at 1-800-951-0592. No hassle, no hype, no bait and switch, and no complaints. After 2 decades of service, we're still here for you. Call 1-800-951-0592 or go to allamericangold.com and you'll be treated with honesty and respect. You have my word on it. I'm Eric Cedarstrom, CEO, shipping clerk, and janitor.
If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Ferris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Ferris Survival.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
After what I sat through last night, there's no time for music. I've got to start this show right off the bat. My name's Howard Riell. It's Riell Truth. You know that. There's no mistaking this show for any other. God help me. I sat in last night on a tragedy. No, I'm not referring to my ex-wife. It was a panel discussion, question and answer. Well, mostly discussion and then question and answer. 3 people seated on the stage. The moderator was Joe Klein, columnist for Time Magazine. His 2 guests, Avraham Berg, former Speaker of the Knesset in Israel and a confirmed leftist, and Dennis Prager, writer, radio talk show host, and basically a conservative. The topic was Israel. Israel today, Israel going forward. My friends, I'm here to tell you something based on what I heard last night. If you are hoping and praying, as you should be, for the good of Israel, I've got some lousy news for you. Things are not going to be good in Israel. And I say that with a heavy heart. Believe me. Things are not going to be good. Because Israel and the thinkers who are leading it, supposed thinkers, are taking it in the wrong direction. I was left disheartened and disappointed. They were talking about sanctions on Iran. They were talking about Obama's unflagging support of Israel. They were talking about the Council on Foreign Relations. They were talking two-state solution. They were talking moderate Arabs. They were talking the Arab Spring. I listened for an hour and a half, my friends, with one word in my mind, waiting to hear that word. I waited for 90 minutes or more to hear one word, and no one ever spoke that word, and that is a tragedy. The word, and forgive me if I offend you, the word that I never heard last night was God. No one had anything to say about God, which tells me all I need to know about where the Middle East is headed. It's headed towards cataclysm. You cannot begin to understand the fate of Israel, the fate of the Jewish people, the fate of the world, the fate of all the people in the world, unless you factor God into the equation. If you can't, then it's like you're driving in a car around the Indianapolis 500 with your eyes bandaged shut. You cannot know where you're going. And so there were no answers last night because these people don't even know the questions. We, and I say we, I mean we in the West, we who want peace, we who are kindly disposed to Israel, we who realize that there is such a thing as global jihad, we are stumbling around blindly. And when we get together and talk, we talk about rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. There are no answers being bandied about. Will the people of the world stand up to evil? That is a question that was never asked. Will the people of the world sanctify God's name in any way that they and their various religions are called upon to? Will we fight against those who are already fighting against us? Will we be certain that truth and good triumph over deception and evil? Are we involved in sanctifying God's name, or at the very least in preventing the desecration of His name? These questions never came up. They are central to any man's understanding of the Middle East. 2,000 years ago, there was a group of Jewish ascetics, monks basically. They lived a harsh lifestyle. They were called the Essenes. They were, I don't know if you would call them Gnostics or not, but certainly when you find a discussion of Gnosticism, the Essenes are always there. They talked about dividing the world into two parts: the sons of light and the sons of darkness. Now, please don't insult my intelligence by saying, "Oh, Riell, isn't that simplistic?" Sometimes life gets exactly that simple. There are the sons of light, those who are doing good in the world, or at least not doing bad. And then there are the sons of darkness. You know who they are as well as I do. These are the aggressive people, both individuals and nations and religions and ideologies. Those who want to conquer, who want to dominate. And as we approach the end of history, as we approach the coming of the Messiah, please God, good and evil are coming into very, very stark relief. Things are getting clearer. Even yutzes like me from Brooklyn are beginning to get it. It's them or us. Not because I say so, because they say so. Who's they? They is the forces of global jihad. They is the forces of the corporate elite, the military, industrial, and entertainment complex, media complex, who have an iron grip on the world and want it forever. There are people who are not content to simply lead their lives. They've got to control. They've got to gather. They've got to dominate. Those are the sons of darkness. Our job here on earth is to be among the sons of light, because that's what God wishes. For men to live in peace with each other, respect each other, help each other, nourish each other. Not take advantage of each other, not threaten each other, not kill each other. And so I sat and my head hurt as I listened to this discussion. Three very intelligent men on the stage, a lot of intelligent people in the audience. And by the way, these intelligent people were solidly pro-Obama, so they couldn't be that intelligent. But I just felt lost last night. Because I was part of that event, part of this audience, I felt like I was wandering around in the darkness with them. My friends, it was not a good feeling. We need answers, we need solutions, we need light. That's why I've done this radio show for over 4 years and been paid not a penny for it, because I truly believe in my heart that I am contributing to the good side of the ledger. You're listening to my show, and so you also are contributing to the good side of the ledger. If I may say so, we are part of the sons of light that the Essenes spoke of. Well, now that we've patted ourselves on the back, we got to get to work, because the sons of darkness are always at work. It's a new week on Riell Truth. We've only just begun. We'll be right back.
Fact. Today, the national debt is more than $16 trillion. That's more than $50,000 for every man, woman, and child. Fact. After nearly 4 years in office, President Obama's policies have resulted in the worst economic recovery since the Great Depression. Fact. Over 220,000 Coloradans can't find work, and our unemployment rate is higher than the national average. Fact. Obama. We simply can't afford 4 more years. Mitt Romney has a plan. Listen.
My plan is to help the middle class in America. I want it to be the best time for the middle class of America.
Mitt Romney will repeal Obamacare and increase access to domestic energy resources. He'll cut taxes, cut spending, and champion small businesses, creating 12 million new jobs.
I'm Mitt Romney. I'm running for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Romney for President, Incorporated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Herb.
All of God's people have a ministry, and it's a trick of our enemy to keep God's people sick and worn out to hinder their ability to minister. We are often judgmental toward people who are addicted to booze, cigarettes, and drugs, but we at the Green Herb have found that most of God's people are unknowingly addicted to the two most addictive products in America, sugar and soda pop. If you have a sickness or disease, or if you're just tired a lot, the Green Herb has an herbal product that is formulated just for you, and it's just $15.95. Come by the Green Herb, located in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, on the I-70 Frontage Road North, 1 mile west of Kipling, or call 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372, or go to our website, www.thegreenherb.com, and be sure to listen to the Green Herb Show with Linda and Dr. Cass every Tuesday at 1 o'clock on KHNC.
Folks, welcome back to Riell Truth. Howard Riell presiding. My friend Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News is talking about what he calls a global coup that is underway. Charlie usually makes sense, usually knows what he's talking about. Let's give it a listen.
My name is Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse Radio Network. The power financial elite are going for broke, and they want to make us all literal debt slaves to them forever. They want the entire planet under their control. Now, does that sound grandiose, conspiratorial, far-fetched, and not possible? You better wake up and understand where we are and where we're headed. Ellen Brown wrote an excellent article I'll attach to this video. The title of it is Government by the Banks, for the Banks, the ESM coup d'etat in Europe. She's 100% right in this article, but it doesn't go far enough because it isn't just Europe, it's the United States. It isn't just the United States, it's the entire so-called free world that is involved in the central banking cabal, which is basically the entire planet. They are not going to stop until they have total and complete and utter control of everything. Every person, every asset, every resource, they are not going to stop until they have it all. In fact, they've become so, the bravado has become to such a level, it's almost in our face that they're going to do it. It's almost in your face. I don't care. I don't care about representative government. I don't care about the people who fill in the blank. We will have total and utter control. We all remember this big rally that occurred on Friday. 250 points up on the Dow, 2-3% increase across the board on the indices. And it was all based on the 19th, and I'm going to underscore that again, 19th meeting inside of Europe to save the world from the European sovereign debt crisis. Optimism ensued. We had this monster rally. Well, over the weekend, some of the details came out. The details that caused all this hope and can still continue to bring hope to the power elite of the world is Angela Merkel's capitulation to use the ESM fund for something other than what it was designed for. Now, we did a report on this ESM fund over a year ago when they first announced it. It was onerous then, but it got a whole bunch worse. See, the ESM is a lot like something that happened here in the United States. We call it TARP, Troubled Asset Relief Program. They call it European Stability Mechanism. The ESM originally was set up in order to have this 700 billion euros, 700 billion, another number we're acquainted with. The ESM was going to use this money to rescue sovereign governments of Europe that were affected by this debt crisis. The money was going to go to the government, or in essence, the representative governments of Europe. But now something new happened in the latest round of meetings, the 19th meeting. Germany says, well, okay, I guess we'll let this money potentially be used to go directly to the banks. Not to the governments, but to the banks themselves, to pay off the banks. Does this sound familiar? Do you remember gunslinger Hank Paulson coming out saying we're going to have the TARP program, Troubled Asset Relief? We're going to buy these troubled assets. We're going to buy it so people don't lose their homes. We're going to buy this debt so we can rescue our economy. 2 days later, he comes out and he starts handing out money to who? The banks. See, the coup already occurred in this country. We work for the banks in this country right now. They write the laws that govern this land right now. So we have this democracy thing going on here with this election, and we're going to talk about gay sex and Anderson Cooper, and we're going to talk about left-right garbage, blue team, red team. But the things that really matter, who we're going to murder and whose name is going to be done in, and our financial future, that's left to the power elite banksters, none of which were in prison for imploding the world economy. They're literally quite the opposite of that. To the contrary, they're running the show. Now, the same thing is going to happen inside of Europe. It's a little more difficult there. 17 nations, 17 governments, you got to break them down. So we're going to break them down with sovereign debt crisis. We're going to implement the ESM. Now it isn't going to go to the governments anymore. It's going to go directly to the banks. And oh yeah, some of the articles in the ESM are beyond onerous. Article 8 sets it up at $700 billion. Article 10 takes care of that by saying the Board of Governors can adjust that amount as they see fit. Now Article 9, if we back up one to Article 9, it says if these nations sign on to this, they unconditionally pledge to pay on demand the amount set by the ESM governors. How convenient. $700 billion is going to turn into what? Well, in the United States, it turned into 15, 16 trillion, conservative estimates. Some other estimates say that the backstopping and guarantees are closer to hundreds of trillions of dollars. And just in case there was any confusion, Article 32 basically spells out in the ESM, the Board of Governors, their staff, the directors, or their staff, anybody involved in the ESM is immune to any prosecution by any government on this planet. They can do whatever they want. They can never be held accountable for it. And if you think for 1 second you're going to pledge your nation's assets and then pull that back when you find out it's been fraudulently given to a bunch of banksters, forget about it, because further in Article 32 it spells it out. Any property that is acquired by the ESM under this agreement is then forever theirs. Will never be taken back. No court in the land, in the nation of Europe or the international community, or in the continent of Europe rather, or the international community will ever have the ability to seize back that which they gave the European Stability Mechanism. It isn't going to stop with the ESM. It didn't stop with TARP. We will be led into a crisis of reality. And at the end of that, we will be offered a solution. The solution is indentured servitude to every man, woman, and child on this planet. If we don't understand that and we don't stand and demand an end to it right now, demand an end to the central bankster control of this planet right here and right now, we will end up being nothing more than debt slaves to the uber elite class, the political and financial elite class that claim they have your best interest at heart. They do not. They do not have our best interest at heart. They want to use us and dispose of us as nothing more than profit centers. Stories are attached. That's all I got.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. As always, item from thesmokinggun.com. My friends, any of you, before I start this item, this covers the next two items. Any of you ever get on a bus? Okay. Item from thesmokinggun.com. A Cleveland municipal bus driver has been suspended after video surfaced this week showing him decking a mouthy female rider with a bolo punch. The confrontation between the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority worker and the unidentified woman was apparently filmed by another rider. It's unclear from the above clip, and you will see it on YouTube, my friends, or on thesmokinggun.com, or linked on my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio, RIELL. However, triggered the dispute. Okay, it's not clear what triggered the dispute. The driver of bus 2802 leaves his seat after the woman appears to strike him. You're going to jail now, the driver says twice, before throwing an uppercut that knocks the woman to the ground. The driver then throws the woman off the stopped bus, though she climbs back aboard and tussles with him. She wants to be a man, he yells. I'm going to treat you like a man, unquote. My friends, I've watched this video. I got to tell you, that was a hell of an uppercut. Okay. If you watch the video, the woman is acting like an animal. Does that give the bus driver permission to hit her? Obviously not. But bus drivers generally are beleaguered. They're under the gun. People treat them like trash. And when this woman's standing there just yammering at him, I understood what he did. I didn't say it was okay. I said I understand why he did it. You got to watch the video. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a really good punch. She goes down, and then he just lifts her up and throws her down the steps. Not that I'm condoning violence, however. An item from WorldNet Daily. An 81-year-old school bus driver in Wisconsin who had a spotless record has been fired from her job after allegedly telling a 12-year-old boy that he should have been aborted because he supports Mitt Romney for president. The victim of the comments was Joey Hartlaub, a 7th grader in New Berlin, Wisconsin, whose family has posted a Romney-Reagan sign in their front yard. Fox 6 in Milwaukee reports the boy had been harassed for weeks, but he was called to the front of the bus recently when he and others were chanting Romney, Romney from the back of the bus. She kind of yelled at us and told me to come up front, Hartlaub told the station. I said that Obama's pro-abortion. She said, well, then maybe your mother should have chosen abortion for you. Stop for a second, my friends. Stop for a second. This week, synagogues all over the world will be reading the portion of the Torah called Noah, for Noah, the flood of Noah. In what may be the most heartbreaking line in the entire Torah, God says he feels bad that he created. He regrets having created mankind. When you are a 12-year-old child, or an adult for that matter, and someone suggests that you should never have been born, that is a hell of a blow. For this woman to have said that, she must be out of her mind. You don't say that to people. You certainly don't ever say it to children. Let's continue. I did not think it would go that far, little Joey added. It made me feel mad and sad the whole time. I don't know if this is the first time she's done something like this. I just hope she doesn't do it to another kid. Stop for a second. My friends, if you're late to the party, I'll bring you up to speed. Romney is the Republican. His opponent, Obama, is the Democrat. The Democrats are largely, almost completely liberal. This kind of hurtful statement, 9 times out of 10 will come from a liberal. Because if you are a conservative, as I am, you live in the marketplace of ideas. Here's what I think. If I'm wrong, tell me how. If you are a liberal and you disagree with me, man, I will go for your jugular. You can't disagree with me. Because if I'm wrong, then I'm nothing. And so I've got to be right, and God help you if you disagree with me. That's why over and over again you find these kinds of horrific stories coming from the liberal side of the aisle. Well, Blaine Craig, a spokesman for Durham School Services, issued a statement saying Durham immediately removed the driver from service pending an investigation, which resulted in the termination of the driver. Prior to this incident, the driver had an incident-free record while serving the community as a Durham bus school driver for more than 20 years, unquote. Until this, my friends, the driver had an incident-free record. Until World War II, Adolf Hitler had an incident-free record. The Boston Strangler was just a nice guy until he started strangling. Don't tell me how nice she's been for 20 years. Tell me what she did. What she did was unforgivable. If she's gone, it's good. I'm hoping young Joey will get over it. Item from USA Stands with Israel. A Jewish man was attacked and rendered unconscious in a Paris metro, a local watchdog reported. The 52-year-old victim entered the subway directly from his synagogue but wore no markings that would identify him as a Jew. Stop! Doesn't mean he wasn't a religious Jew. Doesn't mean that he doesn't feel his head should be covered. It means he lives in France. And in France, you don't dare go out looking like a Jew because you become a target. Not only of the traditionally anti-Semitic French, but of the Muslims who live in France. The incident occurred on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. He may have been targeted because of a Jewish philosophy book by the chief rabbi of Paris that he was reading in the metro when he was attacked, the report said. The attackers, who are unknown, knocked the man unconscious with a sharp blow to his temple and did not steal anything from him as he lay unconscious on the subway floor. He sustained minor injuries. A female passenger found the man lying on the floor and moved him out of the vehicle at Miro-Mesnil station near Champs-Élysées. Last week, the security unit of France's Jewish community, SPCJ, reported a 45% rise in anti-Semitic incidents during the first 8 months of 2012, in comparison with their 2011 level of 266 incidents. Unquote. My friends, sports is very popular. People love sports, can't get enough of sports. Guess what? Jew hunting is back in Europe. Europe is dying because God is a God of justice, and it has warranted death for a very long time for the way it persecuted mercilessly. And by the way, when you're Jewish, you tend to research the history of anti-Semitism in a way that you don't when you're not Jewish. You read about the devilish, hideous things done to Jews for 20 centuries. You know why Europe is now coming apart and starting to burn. They exiled the Jews. They invited in the Muslims. Good. Enjoy them. They are your legacy. They are your birthright. And as Europe dies, economically, physically, as Europe dies, I will shed not one tear. We'll be back.
On March the 3rd, 2005, KHNC 1360 AM was granted a license by the Federal Communications Commission to serve the public interest as a public trustee until April the 1st, 2013. Our license will expire on April the 1st, 2013, and we must file an application for renewal with the FCC by December the 1st, 2012. When filed, a copy of this application will be available for public inspection during our regular business hours. It contains information concerning this station's performance during the last 8 years. Individuals who wish to advise the FCC of facts relating to our renewal application and to whether this station has operated in the public interest should file comments and petitions with the Commission by March the 1st, 2013. Further information concerning the FCC broadcast license renewal process is available at the studios of KHNC Radio, 2 South Parish, Johnstown, Colorado, or may be obtained from the FCC, Washington, D.C., 20554.
You have a clear choice between two very different visions for the future. With Barack Obama, you're looking at more of what got us into this mess. Mitt Romney offers a real plan to get America moving in the right direction again.
Let me tell you how I'll create 12 million jobs when President Obama couldn't. First, my energy independence policy means more than 3 million new jobs, many of them in manufacturing. My tax reform plan to lower rates for the middle class and for small business creates 7 million more. And expanding trade, cracking down on China, and improving job training takes us to over 12 million new jobs.
Mitt Romney will do what Barack Obama couldn't. It's clear we simply can't afford 4 more years of Barack Obama.
I'm Mitt Romney. I'm running for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Romney for President, Incorporated.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, The feasts of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work on it. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1 through 3. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network.
Welcome back to Riell Truth. Anna Kasparian on the TV show The Young Turks is talking about an unfortunate trend that's gaining momentum here in the United States and in Europe. RFID chips, electronic tracking chips, being put on kids to track truancy, to monitor their eating habits. Basically, it's Big Brother lording over little brother and little sister. Let's listen to what she has to say.
More and more school-age kids are being equipped with radio frequency IDs. And basically what's happening is they're given these cards that have chips in it. And this way, administrators and educators can keep track of everything they're doing. They want to make sure, and there's a profit motive to this that I hadn't thought of before. Every day that a student misses school, that particular school loses money. So they have an incentive to keep track of these students to make sure that they come to school as often as possible. And in some cases, for instance in Anaheim, if they do not use these tracking devices, whether it's a GPS device or something similar to that, the administration can look at the number of unexcused absences and actually prosecute these students and make them serve time in juvenile hall.
Man, we have way over-criminalized society, that's at first. Second of all, Big Brother is everywhere, in every nook and cranny. And they're following you and they're tracking you. Remember the school that gave out the laptops, but they were secretly spying on the students through the laptops, the video camera in it. And I remember being pissed off about this, I don't know, 5-7 years ago or something, when they started putting video cameras in the classrooms because they wanted to spy in on the teachers. And then I said, well, then they're going to spy in on the students. Of course! Then they spied in on the students, and then they spied in on everybody.
Exactly.
And now the trackers are on you personally and physically, and you got to check in. Soon they'll be embedded in you. You think it won't happen? It'll happen. Okay? It's not science fiction anymore. It's real.
So when it comes to the radio frequency identification in schools, in Anaheim specifically, I feel like it's the most intrusive. So 75 7th and 8th graders are taking part in this pilot program. Students with 4 or more unexcused absences have volunteered to carry these GPS devices. Participation in the program will enable the students to avoid being prosecuted and a potential stay in juvenile hall.
Yeah, I love how they volunteered. In other words, I'm going to throw you in juvenile hall, or you can volunteer to be tracked 24 hours a day.
Similar things are happening in Long Island, New York, and this is in an effort to fight childhood obesity.
Oh, come on.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Get the fuck out of my life.
It's ridiculous. Selected Bayshore students designated overweight or obese are being equipped with a wristwatch-like device that counts heartbeats, detects motion, and even tracks students' sleeping habits. Similar programs are underway in schools in St. Louis, Missouri, and South Orange, New Jersey.
My friends, if you watched your own kids, your very own children, this closely, someone would say that you were out of your mind. Don't hover over your kids. Let them live. Let them be a little bit. And they'd be right. But the government, the government knows more than we do about raising our children. At least that's what the government, and it's flacks, like Hillary Clinton, Ms. the Village Idiot, takes a village. That's what they would have us believe. I've talked about government as our national proctologist. Well, it becomes our national pediatrician, we've got more problems. Item from Pam Geller at Atlas Shrugs, writing via jihadwatch.com. Hamas Care has unveiled a new ad campaign to, quote, counter our historic anti-jihad ads running in lighted display cases on Washington, D.C. metro train platforms. Our now famous ad reads, in any war between the civilized man and the savage, support the civilized man. Support Israel, defeat jihad. CARE's 16-foot banner ads are scheduled to go up this week and stay up for a month in stations featuring our AFDI ads. It's Glenmont, Georgia Avenue, Petworth, and U Street. CARE's counter ads feature an abrogated verse from the Quran. Why is a little girl wearing a covering? Is she considered a sexual object? Citing the Quran, are we? I think that's a good idea. AFDI is launching a new ad campaign like the Hamas Care. Here's the ad we've submitted to WMATE, Mass Transit. I want to thank Hamas Care. What a wonderful way to educate millions of Americans on what is in that book, meaning the Quran. We'll feature all the verses that call for jihad. This is the first of our series. Here are a few of the Quranic verses we intend to highlight. These are my top picks. Atlas readers, I'd like your input. Which verse for our next ad? Now, my friends, the verses I'm about to read to you are straight from the pages of the Quran. Number 1, from Surah 8:55. Surely the vilest of animals in Allah's sight are those who disbelieve, meaning non-Muslims. From Surah 3:151. Soon shall we cast terror into the hearts of the unbelievers. From Surah 4, verse 56. Lo, those who disbelieve our revelations, we shall expose them to the fire. As often as their skins are consumed, we shall exchange them for fresh skins, that they may taste the torment. Lo, Allah is ever mighty and wise. Surah 9, verse 5. Then when the sacred months have passed, slay the idolaters wherever ye find them, and take them captive and besiege them, and prepare for them each ambush. But if they repent and establish worship and pay the poor due, the jizya tax, then leave their way free. Lo, Allah is forgiving and merciful. Surah 98, verse 6. Lo, those who disbelieve among the people of the Scripture and the idolaters will abide in fires of hell. They are the worst of created beings. By the way, my friends, a little footnote here. Who are the people of the Scripture and the idolaters? Well, the people of the Scripture, the people of the book, I'm told, refer not only the Jews but the Christians too. So you and I, Jew or Christian, we belong in the fires of hell according to the Quran. From Surah 8, verse 60. Against them make ready your strength to the utmost of your power, including steeds of war to strike terror into the enemies of Allah and your enemies. Surah 48:29. Muhammad is the apostle of Allah. Those who follow him are merciful to one another, but ruthless to the unbelievers. That's you and me. Surah 4, number 34. Righteous women are therefore obedient, guarding the secret for God's guarding. And those you fear may be rebellious, admonish, banish them to their couches, and beat them. Surah 47:4. When you meet the unbelievers, smite their necks. Then when you have made wide slaughter among them, tie fast the bonds. Then set them free, either by grace or ransom, till the war lays down its loads. Surah 98:6 from the Quran. Lo, those who disbelieve, meaning those who are not Muslims, among the people of the Scripture and the idolaters will abide in fire of hell. They are the worst. Jihad Watch, Pam Geller finishes with this thought. Many will say that Deuteronomy and other biblical books have violent passages as well. However, nowhere do the Jewish or Christian scriptures tell all believers in general to wage war against unbelievers as such. Only the Quran contains such passages. Also, Islam, unlike Judaism and Christianity, has never gone through a period of reformation and enlightenment, either involving or resulting in any thoroughgoing reevaluation of the literal sense of its sacred texts. That's why you do not see Jews or Christians slaughtering unbelievers and justifying their actions by quoting their scriptures, unquote. Well, I mean, you have seen Christians doing that, let's be honest. Jews, no. Muslims, always. We'll be back.
Are you prepared for the coming chaos? Whether you are planning a strategic retreat or you have one in progress, Square Root Construction would be pleased to offer our assistance. With nearly 30 years of construction experience, Square Root Construction can help with design, engineering, and permitting issues, as well as a host of general contracting services from foundation to finish work. For a limited time, we are offering exclusive discounts to the listeners of Randy's program. For a no-obligation consultation, please call Doug at 303-517-8742 or drop an email to strategicretreats@gmail.com.
If the IRS has turned your life upside down, Ameristar Tax Centers has a free, no-obligation consultation just for you. With proven experience, our former IRS agents are licensed to contact the IRS immediately for you, stop the collection activity, and get you instant help to relieve you from this burden. We guarantee not to charge you a penny unless we can help. So call for free information now.
800-519-6297. 800-519-6297. 800-519-6297.
An emergency preparedness plan for your home, car, school, and office is a must. Knowing how to store water safely, survive extreme temperature changes, provide reliable shelter, first aid, and sanitation is critical. Knowing where to get the best lights, radios, and other supplies is easy. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing realistic preparedness supplies at affordable prices. Stop by, go online, or call 303-781-0343, 866-781-0343.
And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15.
Folks, welcome back to Riell Truth. Howard Riell presiding. Dick Morris is with us via video again. His latest video blast says that the UN is about to tax the Internet. And I believe him. Let's listen.
Do you think you should pay a tax to the UN for using the Internet? A fee for accessing websites like Google and your regular Internet server? Well, that's what we'll talk about today. The United Nations is moving very close, with American assent, to imposing a tax upon the Internet. We've been talking about this for a couple of months, and in our new book, Here Come the Black Helicopters, we highlight that as an immediate danger. But now the U.S. ambassador to the UN, one of them, Terry Kramer, in an article that you can watch after you finish with this video, says that that fee is moving through the United Nations and will very likely be adopted. And he says, which is particularly scary, that the United States is, quote, open to dialogue in ways to make such cooperation more comprehensive, building upon work by existing institutions, unquote. Now, you may not be fluent in UNEs, but what that means is that we're going to go along with it. We're going to go along with giving the UN power to regulate the Internet, and the existing institutions, he means, is the United Nations Office of Telecommunications, which currently regulates satellite launchings, orbits, and some aspects of long-distance phone calls. Under the negotiations now going on secretly for a treaty that will be signed in Dubai in December, the United Nations is looking at taking over the Internet. It would give countries the right to charge for access to websites that originate outside of the country, which would stop, like China could impose a prohibitive charge and block out American websites. It would give the UN the authority to assign Internet e-names and then the obligation to report to the host governments in each country all of the e-names in the country and their IP addresses, making it easier to track down dissidents. It would give governments the power to censor Internet websites that originate in their own countries. And it would charge a fee, a tax on the Internet that you would pay to the United Nations that would then go to the third world. It's a form of mandatory foreign aid. Now, why on earth should we pay a tax to the UN for the Internet? They have nothing to do with setting up. They have nothing to do with regulating it. They have nothing to do with maintaining it. All of that is done privately by major Internet users without any government regulation, much less the United Nations. And yet here they come in wanting to tax essentially free speech, which is really what the Internet has become, in order to provide increased revenue to third world dictatorships where they'll pocket the money in their Swiss bank accounts, but also to provide the UN bureaucrats with power over the nervous system of the world, over the means of communication that the world increasingly depends upon. Now, we're warning of all this in our book, Here Come the Black Helicopters. These treaties, this treaty, as well as the gun control treaty and the law of the sea treaty that gives the UN the power to stop our carbon emissions because they pollute the ocean, and to tax our offshore oil rigs and get the royalties from it. These treaties, plus some other taxes the UN is going to impose, are all going to come up for ratification in November and December in the lame duck session. So even if Obama loses, and I think he will lose, and the Republicans capture control of the Senate, we're going to have a lame duck Senate with 53 Democrats and a bunch of rhino Republicans that have retired, like Olympia Snowe and Dick Lugar and Kay Bailey Hutchison, and they're going to be the ones that will make the decision on whether to ratify these treaties or not. We have got to get busy. We've got to get busy in influencing these people and writing these people and getting involved with it. So first of all, as a first step, attached to this petition, attached to this video, you'll find a petition asking the UN not to regulate the Internet and denying their ability to tax it, and also opposing all other taxes the UN wants to levy on the American people. It's vital that you sign it. It's vital that you get this all over the place. We have got to make some noise. These treaties are advancing in stealth, and nobody is paying any attention to them. So I really hope that you help out on this and get a copy of Here Come the Black Helicopters, because it really explains the whole deal there and explains exactly what we need to do to stop it. So sign the petition, get a copy of the book, and really help us out here, because we have got to preserve our freedom. Thank you.
My friends, Dick Morris is correct. You can go to dickmorris.com to sign that petition. I'm looking at it right now. Under this video is the article to which Dick referred. It's written by Brendan Sasso. It's from thehill.com. Headline, U.S. Ambassador Internet Fee Proposal Gaining Momentum. Let me read it to you, because it is this important. And it is vital I spend this much time on it. I quote, U.S. Ambassador Terry Kramer warned on Friday that a proposal to give a United Nations agency more control over the Internet is gaining momentum in other countries. Proposals to expand the UN's International Telecommunication Union's authority over the Internet could come up at the treaty conference in Dubai in December. European telecommunications companies are pushing a plan that would create new rules that would allow them to charge more to carry international traffic. The proposal by the European Telecommunications Network Operators Association could force websites like Google, Facebook, and Netflix to pay fees to network operators around the world. Kramer said the idea of an international Internet fee is, quote, gaining more interest in the African states and also in the Arab states, unquote. He said the United States delegation to the conference will have to redouble its efforts to convince other countries that the proposal would only stifle innovation and economic growth. Stop. My friends, how Pollyanna can you be? Explain to me how the masses of people in the Arab world and in Africa view innovation. For a lot of these people, innovation is getting a new bucket to try and get some brown water into. If the Arabic and African cultures could spur worldwide innovation, they'd be doing so. They're not. The majority of the people in those two places live in abject poverty because they don't know the first thing about innovation or economic growth. We do. So naturally, we'll do what they say, right? That's the bizarro world that we've become. It's insanity. It's not called treason in the books. But American legislators who give away American freedoms to international bodies are traitors. It's true because I'm telling you it's true, and it's true because common sense says it's true.
Hi, I'm Eric Cedarstrom for the Patriot Trading Group and AllAmericanGold.com. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the listeners who've supported us throughout the years and helped keep the radio stations going. I've had a chance to meet many of you face-to-face and enjoyed every minute of it. For 2 decades, I've worked hard to keep our service fast and our prices low, and will strive to keep going for another 2. Patriot Trading Group and AllAmericanGold.com have no commission salespeople, no free reports, and no complaints. Nobody here will call you when you sit down for dinner. There really is a difference. Call 1-800-951-0592 and find out for yourself. We look forward to serving you with years of experience. We know what we are doing and will make recommendations based on your personal situation. Call 1-800-951-0592 and you'll be treated with honesty and respect. You have my word on it. I'm Eric Cedarstrom, CEO, shipping clerk, and janitor.
Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, Who are you? He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, I am not the Messiah. And they asked him, What then? Are you Elijah? He said, I am not. Are you the prophet? And he answered, No. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution
Folks, welcome back to Riell Truth. From Congressman Ron Paul, I quote, last week, supporters of the current administration rejoiced over job numbers released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. For the first time since the administration came to power, the official unemployment number fell below 8%. Keynesian cheerleaders all claim the numbers meant we are surely on the road to economic recovery just in time for Christmas and also the election. Others saw through this ruse. The situation on the ground looks nothing like a recovery. 23 million people are still out of work or chronically underemployed. Their number is expected to rise dramatically next year. The situation in Washington should not give anyone cause for optimism. Politicians refuse to look honestly and intelligently at the cause of our economic malaise, and so real solutions are not taken seriously or acted upon. Same approach is taken to Israel. It is much easier and less painful to simply recalculate the numbers and redefine the terms until a rosier picture is presented. There's only blind hope that at some point, for some reason, things might change. But nothing will change for the better if we only stay the course. The truth is, the long-term solutions to our economic quagmire involve some short-term pain. Reevaluating the economic role of an institution as insidious and behemoth as the Federal Reserve will inconvenience some people, and those people happen to have a lot of power. Similarly, the idea of ending government programs and closing down superfluous departments will always upset someone because it means someone won't be getting a government check. No one wants to upset the apple cart, even if all the apples are rotten. Not all of the unemployed are counted in the BLS unemployment numbers. This is no secret. In 1994, government statisticians came up with the term discouraged worker to remove entire swaths of people from the unemployment statistic. Now all the government has to do to improve the unemployment numbers is discourage people from looking for a job. Far more unintended consequences are created in Washington than jobs. Ideally, the business sector should be able to depend on sound numbers from the BLS, but smart business leaders know that trust in these numbers leads to bad decisions and failure. In regards to the recent job numbers, investor Jim Rogers recently stated, quote, I've learned not to take advice from the government, especially the U.S. government, which frequently misleads its citizens, unquote. He also noted the election just around the corner, suggesting timing as an extra incentive to keep fudging the statistics. The real drivers of the productive economy can't afford to take risks based on false numbers. This is why economist John Williams created shadow government statistics, utilizing more traditional methodologies and definitions to show business decision makers the real economic picture, warts and all. He shows the real unemployment rate to be a staggering 22.8%. Stop. My friends, the government says it's 8%. John Williams of Shadow Government Statistics says 22.8%. Whom do I believe? You've got to be kidding. I believe John Williams because the government is a proven liar, especially as presidential elections near. So, we know the government is lying to us, spitting in our face to the tune of 14 percentage points when it comes to unemployment. They don't want us to know how bad things are, and they sure as hell don't want us to know how bad things are just about to get, unless we stop them from getting worse. That's where the government statistics go goodbye. That's where the American people come in. We still have it within our power to take control of the electoral process, to control, to some degree at least, our elected representatives. We've got to use this power before we lose it. I'll be back in 23 hours with another edition of Riell Truth. In the meantime, my friends, go hug and kiss your children, because they deserve it, and you deserve it. See you tomorrow.